everyone, and here we go.
Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium coach and direct connections guide. Her podcast, Life Clarification, helps you navigate and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever. So let's start another episode of Life Clarification with Natasha.
Well, you just saw me being the human that I am and doing this for the first time by myself. So thank you very much for being with me, doing this work, and doing what I needed to do so that we can all be who we are to be. And I know that I just am going live for the first time by myself like this because Kevin is busy doing something right now and he'll be popping in. So I just wanted to know that we are going to go into some things that I've been wanting to talk about. And part of this is about, navigating through going into into this moment of where we're at. And many of us are going into, I know for our state, we're going into like another download of the coronavirus. And many of us are going into the holidays. And I don't want to push any beliefs on anybody. I am wanting to support everyone in their knowings of who they are and where they're going. And that, as we're doing this and as we're going on to this, that I am in the moment of trying to support many. And I love to be that person. And sorry, I was putting YouTube on my phone so that if somebody wants to get a hold of me, they can put a chat in. And so I just want to kind of do this with many different technologies. I haven't learned how to do the share screen and doing these different things with YouTube and Zoom and all that kind of thing. So thank you for putting up with me. And like I said, if Kevin is coming in, he will be in, but it's a busy day for him too. So just know that I'm here for you. And as we're doing this, dance with what's happening to you. Because of the fact that as we're working through these so emotional moments of not getting what we truly want, what we really want to be with is people. And if we're in these midst of having troubles with, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, many times we lose track of what we really have. And when we have those things that really call to us, and I'm hoping I'm making sense, because this is just one of those moments where I'm going to slow down and breathe. Because of trying to get on and doing all these technology things and hoping it all came out okay. But, I'm going to let it go if it didn't, because that's what my expectations were. And you are going through this moment where, and I've got somebody texting me saying that they don't see me live yet. So I am sorry that if this isn't working quite right. So with that, I'm going to let's see, Kevin's trying to get in and he's doing the thing. So I don't know exactly what I did wrong with everything with technology. So I'm sorry, Kevin, if this doesn't work for you. And he wrote, Zoom won't let me in. So I don't know if I put the wrong, I know what I did. Sorry, Kevin, is I didn't put myself as, I just started Zoom. I didn't start a a session. And so with that I'm going to be here by myself today, I guess. And with all that, okay, so I'm going to push the reset button here as I start. As we work through our emotions and as we work through these dances of our emotions, and we have these expectations of what we want to go for, what we're going to try to do, what we're in the midst of doing, there's many blessings we're going to lose. And these blessings sometimes aren't what we truly want. And I know going through many of these emotions myself because of the fact that over 20 years ago, I lost most of my family. And the family that I did have on my dad's side kind of had their own stories and they were doing their own things. But my mom's side of the family, that whole side left. So I went from a family of 10 to now a family of just me, my husband, my 2 children, and if he could come, would be my stepson. But yet he had his mom and dad, he had his mom and their family, and then you add in the girlfriend and their family, and they're over an hour and a half away. So coming over to us, it didn't always work. And so with all of this dance that we're going through, that there's always these things that are happening. And going through those emotional, troublesome stories of myself, and I wish I had family. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. That I lost sometimes the joy of having my children, my husband, and the glorious tree that I decided to decorate that we've had now for over 25 years. That's an artificial tree, but I try to change it every year because that's my way of lightening myself up. My kids always go, "Oh, Mom, do we have to put up Christmas lights this year?" Well, yeah, because that's what gives me light in the midst of my grief that keeps hitting me year after year after year. And doing those things that push me into the sorrows don't always help me be the light that I want to be. And then, through the last 8 years is when my husband's been sober. And he was able to navigate through being sober, but yet at the same time, he was a big expectations man, lovingly said. And me being a very gray area person, because I just flow with things, that many times there was a lot of clashing during that time. And he didn't mean that. He didn't want to bring this on me, but yet emotions rise high during this holiday season. And when we're riding high with these emotions, that many times we lose track of all the midst of what we can have. And I was thinking that, many of us fear that we're going to contaminate our family members, or we wish we could do this, or we wish we could do that. And I just want to say that there's this part of me that's intuitive that says, just like I was watching what was it called? Curse of the Island or whatever, where they're trying to find gems on this one island, and they had to quarantine themselves because they were coming from the United States going into Canada. They had to quarantine themselves for over 2 weeks to make sure that they were healthy. Well, if we want to spend time with our families, that might be just a little checkbox we can do, is quarantine ourselves, quarantine our children, and just make sure that even if it's 3 weeks, if we have someone like a great grandmother or a grandmother we want to see, quarantine ourselves, wear our masks, and do the things that really call to us. Many of us forget that there's these moments that we can do this. And I know that some of us have jobs, like let's say my children, my husband works retail, my kids work retail, and and at the same time, we're still getting the calling to come together, but we're going to make sure we have masks on. My house is big enough that we can stand, ways away from each other. And I know for me, working in the Petri dish of life in the elementary school system, that over the years, I don't get sick, that we may, with masks, with space, still be able to get together because I'm with my husband every day. I've interacted with my children daily. And so we know that we've had these times together. So what I'm going to say is that yes, do the thing that feels right to you. Do the thing that really works with you. And this is my perception. And I can be totally wrong. So with that, don't worry about what our expectations are. Thank you for that word. And I'm listening to guidance here. But do those things that call to the heart, but manage those things that we can do. And manage those things that, like going into quarantine and doing the things that are make it available to be what we can be for each other. And know that grief has a hellishness. It brings us into those dark moments like that. And when we have those grief moments, we got to ride the ride with them. Many of us don't want to deal with the pains and the aches of grief. Why can't I? Why don't I? I really want. Well, like the wind blowing behind me, sometimes we get stirred up and we just get angst about it. But that's where, for me, when I've had those moments, and sometimes they're hitting on Christmas Eve, or sitting at the table at Thanksgiving, and I'm just witnessing the four of us sitting around the table. And, I set a plate for my mom, my dad, and my grandparents. And yes, I'm going to cry right now because this does hit. This has emotion in me. And even now, but am I talking with it? I'm saying, grief, thank you. And, we have these moments where in the moment, grief hits us. But what I do is I acknowledge it. And I say thank you. And I let things go for where we're at, that when we're at those moments, we can do what's going to be for us. And I have somebody else saying, am I on? And I'm going to just text real quick, yes, so that, I can do what I need to do. That, sometimes we have these moments where we're going to get hit with it. But I'm going to say, I do look around the table and I try to light a candle. If it's not on the table because there's no room, I light it behind me. That when we can, say thank you. And when we're there, saying that I am grateful. And at the prayer that we do, I say, I'm grateful for my husband who's become sober and can be here with us with love. I say thank you to my older son. Thank you for being here because you are a gem to me. I say thank you to my younger daughter because she is here in the gift that she is with all the love she has for me. And I say thank you. And then I say thank you for me for being alive today. And then we say thank you for the food, that the gloriousness of it coming together at the last minute, perfectly imperfect, comes together, because sometimes it is hard to cook for those that you always cook for. Well, there again, thank you for being here. And when we're here, when we're doing these things, and when we're negotiating these things, that we never know what the gifts can be. And I know that it's always hard to live with expectations. It's always hard to live with grief. And it's always hard to wish we had, or we wish we could, or we wish we didn't, or like many times I wish my parents were still here, my grandparents were still here. And I light a candle every day for my ancestors to say thank you for your guidance. And when we do that, just know that, as my ancestors are talking to me now, saying, remember, child, that we had to come across sometimes on a wagon during the Thanksgiving times, and the times weren't ready for us. And the wagons, we didn't even have anything besides the rabbit that we were able to kill that day. And sometimes it was the rotten fruit that we were eating, and the rotten food that we were eating, because that's all we had as we were going over the dry lands. And the ones that came from like Germany and England over on the boats and the ships, that they were just finding homes at this time, wondering how were they going to survive in this new normal, not even being able to speak a language. Or there was a miscommunication in language. So with that all generations have their troublesomes. And we're in a very life-altering experience right now. And many of us want it like this because we're in technology. We're used to having things come to us. We can, click on our phones, turn on Google, get in on Google, and get our answers that we hopefully get. Well, right now, I think that's what the COVID thing is trying to teach us, is that we're not always going to have what we want when we want it. We're not always going to have the things that we need or desire. But I'm going to let you know, though, that the universe will give us what we're actually going to be allowed to have. For me, sometimes it means that the potatoes are cold because they got dished out first. But, sometimes I just go and warm them up in the microwave because that's what is called to do, and that's what comes to me. So with this, I'm asking you to be a little flexible. And actually, Archangel Michael is saying, we're going to have to be a little flexible with what is going to be called upon us, what we're going to be able to negotiate. And when we're navigating through much of this, I know for me that when I get a chance, maybe when I've had a heavy day of grief and heavy emotions of sadness, and I didn't even sometimes realize it was grief while I was walking through my day until I went, oh, wait a minute, that's what grief feels like because I've lived it for so many years, that I sit down at night after everyone goes to bed and I just sit there. Sometimes I turn on a soppy movie that makes me cry. Sometimes I turn on that soppy music that makes me cry. I light a candle just so I can see light in my darkness. And I let that emotion be. I cry. I say, I miss you. I sobber. Whatever needs to happen. Sometimes I grab a pillow or a blanket and I scream into it. Sometimes, because there's anger that comes out when grief is happening. That I get those emotions and I let them have time. And then as I kind of get them wrung out, like a wrung out wash rag that's been hit against the wall and then put back and then stretched out again and then put back, wrung up and then hit again. Sometimes I feel so exhausted, because that's what grief does, that when we get there and we say, okay, I'm at that point where I've kind of let everything out that I can at that moment, that I, let the candle burn out because it's a 4-hour candle and usually it's done by the time I'm done. Turn off the TV, turn out all the lights or whatever happens, and I go to bed. And I say, thank you, grief, for giving me the chance to empty out many emotions that I was having. And I go to sleep when I can. And then I turn around, and the next morning, I'm feeling heavy. I'm feeling kind of that still a little bit wrung out feeling. But then I say, thank you, grief. And today is my day to do better, to do different, to try to have some joy. I'm going to try to have joy, grief, because if I don't have joy, I'm going to be sad again. And I don't want to be sad again. And this is a conversation I'm having with my emotion, grief. And I say, you had your time last night, and we'll have our time again. And I move on. So with that, when you have time, let's say before or after a moment, acknowledge that grief, acknowledge what's happening. But like when it hits you at the moment, like sitting at the table, find something to be grateful for, because we never know what there is that we wouldn't have unless it's sitting in front of us. And when it's sitting in front of us, we actually know we have it. And even if it's picking up a glass of water or wine or whatever your drink is, hopefully it's less than more if it's alcohol, because we all have those moments. But yet at the same time, grief, when we can deal with it, it does go through faster than we think it will. And I say thank you. Thank you for this moment. I'm grateful, because without water, I wouldn't have nourishment. So finding something as simple as it is, like water, to be able to manage through what we're going to be going through. I also want to say too that, as we're navigating through these new waters of restarting again, like going back to stage 1 in our state of Washington, or most of it, or going back through a lot of the new knowings that we thought we dealt with, that many of us are having to kind of push the reset button. Many of us are thinking, oh, my business is starting out again. I'm actually being able to do something. Well, I want you to know that as the waves come in life, and they do come, I have not. I have not. I have not. And as it looks around me like I have a lot of I haves, I'm going to tell you that I've worked a lot of years to get what I have. Like the room that I'm in, my mom, who helped us buy this home 20 some odd years ago, passed away pretty much right where my table is. Yes, I've done some clearing. So she bought half the house, I bought half the house. And, as we're walking in to all these knowings of ourselves that we can have it, like this table. I got a new table to have sessions with, and it's nice, and it's not new. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for $25. Many of all of these things that I have are either gifts that were given to me, or I worked for them, or found them on clearance. Going shopping with Mother Mary, that we all have these moments. And I hear that Sue has a question. So thank you for bringing that up. Let me go back and can I ask a question for your advice? Yes, Sue, you can ask a question. And I love that there's, because I love conversations. So, if somebody has a question, then somebody else may be able to have that same question that can help. So what is the question, sweetie? I'm going to wait for you in chat here. So I'm going to go back then. When we feel like we have a lot of things, like this wonderful Pegasus was $1 at a thrift store, because I listened to guidance. I listened to the wisdom that was supposed to come to me. Yes, actually, you can put me on speaker. So I'm going to go here, and my friend Sue is going to call, and she's going to call me here, and we're going to put it on speaker. I love how technology, even though it doesn't always work, it always can manage. So Sue, go ahead and call me. Maybe I can get you real quick here, sweetie. I'm not being able to find you right this second, but I'm going to, oh, there you are. And I'll put you on speaker. Okay, go ahead, Sue.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for trusting me. And Sue and I work together quite a bit, but yet she's one that's a gift to me too, because we kind of bounce each other ideas off of each other. And I'm glad I could be here for you, Sue.
Well, I think more and more people are starting to wake up and have spiritual awakenings and are coming out of the closet of woo-woo spirituality. And I had a friend recently ask me over, and I'm a little bit nervous to explain why I need to decline. Do I still have you?
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay. Sorry, I'm watching the video, which is not in sync with our conversation. I should just turn away from the video.
Yes, and that's what I'm having to do too, sweetie. So I'm just going with the real time that we're talking. So keep going, sweetie.
I was going to say, part of what I've been going through, as you're aware of, is very, very physical. And my body is continually bringing up things to be like healed and purged, and it's in many, many, many layers. And because of this, it's like as soon as I heal and release one thing, something else bubbles up
Yes.
quickly.
Yes.
So even like the work you and I did together not too long ago, I'm already like, okay, I need to clear more. But anyway, I said all that to say that this is physically exhausting. And an acquaintance I haven't seen in a few years invited me over to just do some stuff outside, socially distanced, wearing masks, but I just don't have the physical energy to do it at this time. And I don't know how to explain to her what's going on and why I'm declining.
Well, and I want to say something and I'm grateful you're asking this question, Sue, and I'm grateful that you had my number that you can call. That, we're going into this moment of, and I'm going to describe this as a healthy I and an unhealthy I. That a healthy I is one that taking care of us, and I'm going to explain it shortly by saying a healthy I is that, I had a very long day and I'm very tired. My physical being is tired, kind of like what you explained. And it's really where I'm unable to do what I truly want to do. But let me check in tomorrow and see if I can be better for you. And that would be the healthy I, is saying, no, not right now. And being truthful in a way, saying I'm going through a lot of emotional, physical navigations, let's say, and saying something like, this physical navigation I'm going through, and I know that it's been a long time, because I know, Sue, that you've been going through this for a while. And many of us have been going through physical things for a while, because a lot of times when we're going through emotions, they come out physically, like our back hurts, our heart hurts, our neck hurts, we get headaches, our tummy hurts because we're having a hard time digesting life. That, we go into these moments of things like this, and as we're working through this, that having the healthy I saying, that I'm just going to be vulnerable here with you. And that's sometimes a key word. I'm just going to be vulnerable with you. I really want to be with you. I really want to do this, but I physically do not have the energy right now that I can be my better with you. And I want to be that with you. And I'm grateful we can honor this moment of being distanced outside. And I know that if I was feeling better, I could. But right now, with what I'm going through, I just can't. And I'm sorry. Can we do it maybe by phone? Can we talk by phone? Can we do another way? And can I text you when I have an up moment?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it might be a year or more,
But you never know. And that's the thing is that many of us put in the perspective of that this is what it's going to be for a long time, but we never know when tomorrow we might have some energy. We never know when the next moment will have energy. Like at the beginning of this show, I had chaos. And then all of a sudden now it's calm energy because I feel guidance coming to me and that things are coming to you to call up and ask. And that's something new. And so I had that up energy and now it's calming back down again. And so I just want to say that there's these moments where trusting that this next moment might work out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I always say to the universe that if I can, universe, if I'm supposed to do this, make it available. Give me a chance to do it. Have my body, my mental health, my physical health aligned so that I can do this for the moment that I'm wanting to do it. Now, if you truly want to do this, that's the other story.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the truth is, this person, I like her as an acquaintance. She's very nice, and it would be getting together, making soap, which I taught her how to do. But then I just remembered she has ADHD, and when I spend time with her, between her having an overabundance of energy and having it be very unfocused, I find after spending time with her, even when I was what I call normal in quotes, I would come home exhausted. So in this present state, I am just like, no way, no how. I'm not going to put myself through that. That's just, like you say, it's not taking care of myself to do that.
Yeah, and that's the healthy eye, and I understand that, and thank you for adding that extra little bit in, because being intuitive, I'm kind of all over the place trying to do technology and everything like that. So I apologize for not tapping in all that depth. But at the same time, though, that that's sometimes where a phone call, hey, do I need to help you out with a portion of this that I can talk you through it. That's where sometimes like with Kevin and I, there was something that came up with technology and we messaged each other for just a few minutes on Messenger. The Facebook Messenger. So there's sometimes these moments where you can connect with somebody for just a short time. Now I'm going to say another trick here, and I use this quite often when I am having to be, and I'm going to use word having, kind of like I'm at work and I have to deal with someone, or that there's these moments where you just have to deal with something. And I use this language, let me align to the knowings and the energies of the now. Let me align to the person that I'm going to be around. Sometimes I name this person if I know the name of it. And so using that name, let me align with their energy so that we can be more in unity with each other instead of hitting each other and being opposite. Does that make sense? And
absolutely, yeah.
And so with that when I say, let me be in alignment with this. Now, sometimes I do this when I've done some energy work and my husband's coming home from his work day and I'm walking out of the room I'm in and he's walking in the door and I say, let me align to the energies of the now so that we can be better for each other. Something real quick. And so then I come down off of being intuitive. He can be who he needs to be. And we may not be aligned in unison, but we may be more aligned in not in just being able to navigate better with each other, if that makes any sense. And so somebody who's really energetic, sometimes I have to say, okay, what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine, and I put up boundaries. And many of us are needing to do that with the people that were not around and around, that we need to put up boundaries, because there might be a family member who says, you got to come, you got to come, you got to come. It just doesn't feel right to come to that person's house. And many of us struggle through this over the years. It's like, I'm sorry, just not my healthy eye right now. I just can't. And so with that I'm hoping that, that there's another way to navigate through this, like asking the question, is there something I can help you with a stage of this? And we just talk on the phone or we message, and I'm going to tell you that I'm kind of tired right now. So if we can just hold it to like maybe a 15-minute phone call or 15-minute messenger moment, then we can maybe, I can answer your questions for you, or I can help you out.
Yeah.
These are just ideas. These are just ideas, sweetie.
No, I like that quite a bit. It's interesting because the invitation was kind of like, haven't seen you in a while. Be great to catch up. I mean, I can do this on my own. She doesn't feel like she needs me there, but it was just more of like, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Let's catch up. And part of me is like really wanting to come out of the closet, like spiritually, like woo-woo closet thing.
Yes, and I've had troubles with that myself.
And I find that I'm surrounded by people who are like I was, let's see, 10 years ago.
Yes.
Spiritually completely unaware. And this gal happens to go to an evangelical church. I happen to know that about her. So like if I say I'm going through a really intense spiritual awakening right now, which has me totally exhausted and I can barely find it, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to go over. So I guess I'm just trying to find the language to explain without explaining too much.
Exactly, and that's discernment. And I'm going to raise my hand on that note, that there's sometimes where I get messages from a loved one who says, tell them that they're loved, and tell them that their grandpa really wants them to know that I know them and that I see them and I'm doing the work. And I say, yeah, that person ain't going to allow that. I can feel their energy in their field. And I just go up and I just say, I just want you to know that you're loved today. And I walk away. So you can just say, there's something physical I'm going through, some emotions and some physicalities that I'm going through. And this is a personal journey I'm going through. I'm not looking for any guidance. It's a personal journey. I've got it handled, but yet it's still going through the process.
Yeah, I like that.
That you don't have to name it as spiritual, but yet, I'm going through something physical, and it's just, I got the tools, I'm working through it, but it's just something physical. I'm in good health, but I'm just having these moments. And so just, whatever the language, and that's where I always ask, universe, if you want me to say it, you got to be my voice. You got to be my messenger. You got to be, you got to be the teller for me, so that I can be the greater me through this language. And you can always say, sorry, I just can't talk right now, because this is one of those moments where I'm feeling like I'm sliding down a hill, and I don't have the energy to talk right now,
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks. That's helpful. Yeah, it's just sometimes feel stuck between a rock and a hard place.
We do. And I'm going to say that, through this end of this year, we're going to be put in many of those situations, because we're going to have people who we want to spend time with. And, and we can't physically, but we can maybe for a few minutes. And that's where I was saying, I'm going to circle back to this, that, if you guys want to connect as a friendship in a way, maybe just spending, 15 minutes on the phone with her, and if, and I'm not saying lie, I don't want to say lie because, we don't need to, but sometimes we need to have a legitimate excuse for some people, because some people don't have boundaries and some people don't know how to say no. And some people don't want to hear, no, I can't talk anymore. So that's where you're saying, hey, Carson needs me real quick. Hey, I got to go. I love you and I'll talk to you later. Bye. That, you throw out like, and I used an imaginary name here, that, you use these name or a name, especially if somebody knows that you have this family member, you can just say, hey, so-and-so needs me, or, my dog is looking like he has to go out right now. It's like, there's these legitimate reasons for people who don't always have tools.
Yeah.
And many times those tools aren't always we sometimes have to do logistic things to help us move through this process. And if we have good boundaries, like I said, not everybody has good boundaries. And so, just finding those, but remember the healthy eye, I'll text you when I have energy, and I hope we can talk then. And then you just have that, I'm going to align with her energy. So I have those 15 minutes, watching the clock. And then if she's having a hard time saying no, just saying, hey, I'm going to have to go in a few minutes. I can hear my kid needing me. And then wait a minute. Oh yeah, he's really needing me. I'm going to have to go. So you kind of give that heads up that you're going to have to go. So I'm just kind of giving suggestions as metaphors and then going for it.
Thank you. Very good.
Because it's not that it's being, I want to call it, I had a coworker who she said professional boundaries. I learned professional boundaries when we had a coworker that was having problems having boundaries. And so this person would come up and talk when my coworker was trying to get work done, and she wouldn't even acknowledge that the person was doing work. And so she would say, I'm going to have professional boundaries. And so she would put earphones on when she would see this person coming, trying not to be mean and just saying, and so she put the earphones down and saying, I'm listening to an important podcast right now about what the work I'm doing. So can we talk later? And then she says, thank you, and put their earphones back on and started working again. So she had professional boundaries because she knew that she had to co-work with this person. She knew that she had to navigate with this person, but she wasn't mean. She wasn't disheartened, but she just had professional boundaries of saying something that would work. And, because this other person just, I mean this with love, you couldn't hit her over her head with telling her no. She wouldn't hear it, And I mean this with love, just some people don't have it. And so sometimes we just got to have professional boundaries, say a reason, to shift it so that we can work with it. But, it's not wrong to connect with people that we don't totally align with.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you're talking about boundaries, I was just thinking about one of the amazing and wonderful things that I'm so grateful for about this journey that I've been on is I've actually done some incredible healing around personal boundaries. So today I don't really have a whole lot of problem like holding my own boundaries. Yeah, I just had the realization that there's a lot of people out there that don't understand things beyond the realm of our five senses.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's like I have to be aware of what they're not aware of.
Exactly. And that's one thing that when I really started coming out with my intuitiveness, I really felt like, and this is where I can step into people who are saying that they're gay or they're bi or they're and sorry, the words are there. My child's even she's changing her sex, that, and I'm sorry, words sometimes pop out of my head and it's like, oh my gosh, why now? And so with that I can honor these moments, because when I was starting to come out to even my coworkers who I work in an elementary school and I would had to learn discernment, I said, I kind of feel like I'm a gay coming out for the first time telling people I'm gay, but I'm intuitive, because it's not that everybody believes that. And I understand that, but I just say I'm doing this with I'm mentioning this to you because that you seem receptive to this. And so I kind of would say something, and test the waters and, well, wait a minute, coming back, didn't navigate very well. So, it's like throw something small out there and say, I'm doing some spiritual work. And if they say, well, I have Jesus's help, I go, oh yeah, maybe I might want to just step back a little bit. No, I've got my tools. I've got my knowings. I'm doing this, but no. So sometimes we have to throw a little seed out there, crumb out there to see what bird we're going to get.
Well, and the really neat thing is, so far, every time I've done that, which has only been in like small groups with who I would consider like safe people, I've actually had a lot of people share sort of these metaphysical experiences that they've had, maybe like after a loved one passed. Like one, she said that she was looking in the mirror and it was shortly after her mother passed.
Yes.
And as she was looking at her reflection in the mirror, all of a sudden she was realizing she was looking at her mother in the mirror.
That happens.
And then it changed back to her. And so and of course at the time she was probably thinking, am I going crazy? And I just looked at it and I said, that is an amazing gift she gave you, like visitation kind of thing. And just confirming for her that was real. It wasn't made up.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing is those sometimes we never know, am I supposed to share this with this person? And you just kind of maybe throw a seed out there of something, because I can tell you that coming into this new energy that we're coming into right now, we have a lot of intuitive gifts that are opening up. We have this other sense that is starting to awaken. And so with that there's a lot of these things that are coming to us that we don't understand. And it's us who have been doing this special work, like you doing your Kundalini work, that, and you are very intuitive. It's just, you kind of used it differently than I have before this moment, that we all have these things that are talking to us, working with us. And I'm going to tell you that even though we may be having dinner by ourselves, I can guarantee that you're probably going to have a past loved one sitting at the table with you. Because that's how much our ancestors who have crossed over the plains on our wagons, who have flown from another country, have been on ships from another country, who were through the potato famine, who have been in Russia, who had to deal with Stalin and all of that stuff, or World War II, World War I's, over in Asia, all the traumas of those that we have all these down south in India and Africa, and all those different things, all our different ancestors coming from different places. They can say, you're not alone. So if you feel that brush across the back of your head, or you feel the shoulder on the hand on your shoulder, or you're feeling like the of the wiggles, that we do have these ancestors with us. So thank you, Sue, for being a voice for the universe when you feel that calling, understanding that we are the physical being having to give the message to another physical being, and the universe doesn't always understand that we are not a grocery store. That we can't just be, a drive-through theater and say, or drive-through theater or food and saying, this is what I want you to say and dish it out. Even as intuitive as I am, being the medium that I am, hearing from the ancestors, that many times I say, no, not giving that message. Many times I say, like I said earlier, if you want me to give that message, you got to make it available. Well, I kind of had at this one time, to give an example, that I had that calling that I needed to go towards the restroom. Well, I did, and happened, this message I was supposed to give to this person was walking out as I was walking in. And so I said for a minute, hey, I'm going to say something to you that I don't want to push a belief, but I just have this strong calling to tell you. I'm intuitive and I'm a medium. And she goes, oh, yeah, I know that. I mean, I know about that stuff. And I said, well, you have a grandfather that is wanting to talk to you. And so I opened it up by I'm intuitive. And if she would have went, intuitive? I would have said, oh, I'm sorry. I just want you to know that you're loved and that you're doing a good job in life and just trust. And then I just walk by. I let her be because I don't want to sit there and pound it in. And so with that using our discernment as we're waking up, using our knowings that when we're sitting at the table by ourselves, because we have to spend Thanksgiving by ourselves or Christmas by ourselves because of the COVID thing, that, trust that feeling that you're getting, because you just never know who or what can be supporting you and loving you. It's not something that's like giving you the heebie-jeebies, but it's about saying that, your mom knows that you're lonely and she has passed and she wants to spend time with you. And just trust that she might be there, grandparent that you love so much. And so with that, I hope, Sue, that this helps you out and that this will give you that guidance that you're needing to interact with a friend that I actually feel like that she would appreciate that old friendship of the past because she's kind of scared about the future.
Okay.
So, sometimes we go backwards because we're afraid to go forward. And so maybe just checking in with her saying that, hey, yeah, I'm going through something right now, sweetie, that my energy level is up and down and I got the tools to do it, but yet I have moments. So can I text you and can we maybe talk tomorrow?
Yeah, as I say, I like the idea of just, like if she gets into any situation during the process of like she's going to be making soap and if she like needs a little help in the middle of it all, like just to say, hey, if you run into trouble or whatever, feel free to message me or call me, and I could help her through that.
And then maybe add on, hey, I'm grateful for you. I'm happy that you reached out. Thank you very much. And just remember that I do care for you and whatever that language you want to use for that and I've been grateful for our past and working together.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
And many times, and this is me being Natasha, that many times I just add on that little extra love and care because we just never know what that person may need and if that's the calling. But I really feel like that she's just she's going through some shifts and there's an unsure future coming her way. And I'm not tapping into her, I'm just tapping into the energy around her. That she can just use kind of, you've always been, and knowing you from a long time ago, that you've kind of been a sturdiness in people's lives, and she probably just recognizes that of you now.
Okay.
Even though you're not as steady as you felt like you used to be, but yet sometimes people kind of go, well, she used to be, maybe she still is.
No, I get that. Thanks. Yeah, now that you're explaining that, I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. I get it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for trusting the call and having a question, because I'm hoping that this helped somebody else through this moment.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Okay. My love to you, girl.
Love to you too. Take care. And
You
have
too.
A good night.
You too. Bye now.
Okay, bye.
So with that, you know, we're all in this moment of going through something. And I want to repeat something that I said at the beginning of this, that we're all having moments of emotions. Sometimes it's joy because we can do something, and we're talking to somebody who's going through grief because they can't do something. So it's just being kind and acknowledging that we're going to be going through something. And as the top shelf here has the word love with two doves and two beings dancing together, that sometimes we just need to have a little love with a dove's kindness as we dance through life, because we never know what somebody else is needing, but yet we have to have the healthy eye for ourselves, plus the healthy eye for others. So if I can leave you with anything, coming down to last minutes of you know, this last hour that went so quickly, and dancing it with the grace of having a phone call and doing this for the first time by myself. And I think it worked pretty well, that we're all going to have emotions. Give them a voice by saying, hey, like you would a friend, you know, put your emotion here, put your arm around it and say, hi, grief, how are you? Thank you for being here with me. Anger, disappointment, sadness, whoever, it may even be the emotion of, and it could be right here, all in like, you know, whatever figure it is, you know, but just saying, I care about you, and I'm going to give you a moment when I can, and then giving it a moment, because that does help us when we're sitting at the table by ourselves or with just the family members that we're going to have. And it does help us to go, okay, I can make it through this. I can make it through this. Because I understand that we may be able to have Thanksgiving on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or we may not. But for somebody like me going through the grief, there is something magical about the date of Thanksgiving. There's something magical about the Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in my belief system, or whatever that is for you, that those dates have a energetic memory spot on them, that no matter what's happening around it, it stops me energetically, and I have to take a moment and go, oh, this was the day that as a kid, I had to wait till dishes were done at grandma's house to unwrap presents, being the only grandchild, only child of this family, that, you know, Christmas was magical to me. And I had to wait. Plus, I had to wait for cookies to come out. And sitting in the house with my family who went to bed and I was the last one up, I would have that moment of saying thank you, because I miss my grandma and I miss my mom and dad and grandpa and my Uncle Larry and everyone that used to spend time with us, because they were special. But I can tell you though that my mom and dad, my grandma and grandpa, my Uncle Larry, sit at Christmas time and Thanksgiving with us. So that's why I always put an extra chair and an extra plate to say thank you. And I actually put food on there. It's called the ancestor plate. And you know, we just kind of move through it, because we all have emotions. We all have these things. But I want you to know that no matter where you're at, alone or not, that you are so loved. And you've been loved. So go to that spot, those moments when you were loved. Shed a tear if you need to. Have a smile if you are called to. And just find those moments where you know you were loved. And remember, safely if you can, light a candle. Because if we have some light around us, we are going to see light. And that is the greatest gift in the moments of darkness. So if you need to get a hold of me, you can email me at Natasha at Angelic Clarifications. If you would like to hear from family members or work through some of your emotions, or you can check out my website at www.angelicclarifications.com. Make sure there's 2 C's in the middle and an S at the end. So again, Natasha at Angelic Clarifications or www.angelicclarifications.com. Blessings to you on your journey. And I'm going to say this again. Know that you're loved. So when you look at something that is loving, feel that inside you, because that sometimes is the thing that helps us through the next moment, especially when grief hits. Bye now.